The first contact in the void. Commander Elena Reyes stood at the observation deck of the ESS Pioneer, watching the unfamiliar star cluster shimmer in the distance. The exploration vessel's long-range sensors had detected something unusual, patterns of quantum fluctuations that shouldn't exist naturally in space. After 6 months of following these traces across the galaxy, they were finally closing in on the source. "Commander," Lieutenant Park's voice came through the comm system. "We're detecting concentrated tachyon emissions from the third planet of the system ahead. The pattern, it's structured. This isn't a natural phenomenon." Elena's heart quickened, but her voice remained steady. "Take us in, but maintain safe distance. Full sensor sweep of the system." As they approached, the star at the system's center came into clear view. A dying giant, its angry red glow casting an ominous light across its planets. According to their readings, it had no more than 2 years before it went supernova. "Multiple structures detected underground on the third planet," reported Dr. Maya Santos, their xenobiologist. "And there's something else. The tachyon emissions are emanating from what appears to be a city-sized complex beneath the surface. But these readings, they're unlike anything in our database." Elena was about to respond when every screen on the bridge suddenly flickered with waves of soft, purple light. The light coalesced into patterns that somehow felt meaningful. The crew watched in amazement as their shipboard AI attempted to process the transmission. "It's a language," Dr. Santos whispered, her eyes wide. "But they're not just transmitting data, they're transmitting emotions. The patterns themselves carry emotional context." The AI's translation matrix finally decoded enough to convert the message into words, though the emotional undertones remained as pulses of light. "To any who hear us, we are the Arathi. Our star dies. We have called to the galaxy for help, but the advanced ones say we are too primitive to be worthy of salvation. If any receive this message, please, we have millions of lives at stake." Elena felt the desperation in the message, not just in the words, but in the very patterns of light that carried them. "Open a channel," she ordered. "Full spectrum, including visual." The bridge's main screen illuminated with an image that took their breath away. The beam before them had a vaguely humanoid shape, but their skin was translucent, with patterns of bioluminescence flowing beneath it like rivers of starlight. The Arathi's eyes were large and completely silver, reflecting the light of their dying sun. "I am Commander Elena Reyes of the Earthship Pioneer," Elena said, stepping forward. "We've received your distress call." The Arathi's skin pulsed with bands of blue light. "Surprise," the AI translated. You answered. "The others, they said no one would come. They said our ability to share emotions through light was merely a biological curiosity, not true technology. That we were too primitive to be worth the resources needed to save." Elena felt anger rise in her chest, but kept her voice calm. "How many of your people need evacuation?" "We number 4 million, the Arathi responded, patterns of green and gold, hope tinged with fear, rippling across their skin. "But surely you cannot." "We can, and we will," Elena interrupted. "Humanity doesn't measure the worth of lives by technological advancement. Tell me everything about your situation. We'll need to work fast." The Arathi's translator introduced himself as Varith, their chief scientist. As he explained their situation, Elena's crew was already calculating evacuation logistics. The Arathi had spent generations building vast underground cities to survive their star's death throes, but they couldn't withstand a supernova. They had reached out to dozens of advanced civilizations, all of whom dismissed them as primitive due to their biological technology. Their ability to transmit thoughts and emotions through bioluminescent patterns that could interface with quantum fields. The advanced ones said our achievements were merely interesting biological adaptations, Varith explained, his skin dimming with sadness. They said saving us would disrupt the natural order of species development. Elena's response was immediate and firm. "The natural order is what we choose to make it. Humanity knows what it's like to be considered primitive. We were in your position not too long ago. Now we choose to help those who need it, regardless of their technological status. She turned to her crew. Contact Earth Command. Tell them we need every available ship. We have 4 million people to evacuate, and a star that's about to go supernova. As the Pioneer's quantum communicators carried their message back to Earth, Elena looked at Vareth's image on the screen. The Arethi's skin was beginning to pulse with patterns of white and gold, hope overcoming fear. Your technology, your ability to share emotions through light. We don't see it as primitive, Elena said. We see it as something new, something we might learn from. Together, we might discover possibilities neither of our species has imagined. The patterns of light flowing across Vareth's skin intensified, and through the translator, the crew felt a wave of gratitude and relief. Outside the view screen, the dying red giant continued its slow burn toward extinction. But now its light illuminated not an ending, but a beginning. Humanity's first step toward challenging the galaxy's prejudices about what made a civilization worth saving. Elena knew there would be consequences. The advanced civilizations wouldn't be happy about Earth interfering with what they considered the natural order. But looking at the patterns of light flowing across Vareth's skin, seeing the hope they now carried, she knew they had made the right choice. Let's get to work, she said. We have a civilization to save. The price of compassion. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council rippled with waves of agitation as Elena Reyes stood before the assembled representatives. Massive holograms of alien faces loomed above her, their expressions ranging from contempt to outright hostility. The chamber itself was a marvel of advanced technology, its walls shifting with crystalline patterns that made Earth's most sophisticated buildings look primitive by comparison. You dare to interfere with the natural progression of species. The voice belonged to High Counselor Zexnar, a being composed of living crystal and flowing plasma. Humanity itself barely achieved interstellar travel a century ago. You have no right to make such decisions. Elena kept her posture straight, her voice steady. With respect, Counselor, we're not here to ask for permission. I'm here to inform you of Earth's decision. We will evacuate the Arethi people. The chamber erupted in a cascade of overlapping voices and translated protests. Through the cacophony, Elena caught fragments. Unprecedented interference, disruption of natural order, primitive species overstepping bounds. A new voice cut through the chaos. Counselor Mereth, an entity of pure energy contained within an ornate mechanical shell, moved forward. Commander Reyes, perhaps you fail to understand the complexities of galactic civilization. The Arathi's emotional luminescent abilities are merely biological accidents. Their quantum interfaces are crude approximations of true technology. Saving them would require enormous resources, resources that could be better spent advancing truly promising species. Elena felt her anger rise but channeled it into determination. She activated a holographic display of her own, showing the Arathi underground cities, their quantum light technology pulsing with life and purpose. Let me show you what these crude approximations can do, she said. The display shifted to show data from the Pioneer's first contact. The Arathi can transmit complex emotional and technical data through quantum entangled bioluminescence. They've developed an entirely different path to advanced technology, one based on biology and quantum mechanics rather than traditional physics and engineering. Just because their path is different doesn't make it inferior. You mistake biological curiosities for true advancement. Zexnar dismissed. But this discussion is pointless. Earth has no authority here. If you proceed with this evacuation, there will be consequences. The Council will impose sanctions. Your species' own development will be set back decades. Elena smiled slightly. We expected as much. That's why I'm not really here to inform you of Earth's decision. That message was sent as a courtesy. I'm here because right now, as we speak, the first wave of Earth's evacuation fleet is already entering the Arathi system. The chamber fell silent. Then Mareth's energy form flared bright with anger. "You dare." "We dare," Elena interrupted, her voice carrying across the chamber. "Because 100 years ago, when humanity first reached for the stars, we made a promise. We looked back at our own history, at all the times the strong ignored those they considered beneath them, and we swore we would be different." She looked at each council member in turn. "You call yourselves advanced, yet you would let millions die because their path of development doesn't match your prejudices. That's not advancement. That's just technological arrogance." "Then you have made your choice," Zexnar declared. "Earth stands alone. No council world will aid you. No council ship will answer your distress calls. You will bear the full cost of this foolish endeavor." Elena's response was calm but firm. "No, counselor. You have made your choice. You've chosen to show the galaxy exactly what your supposed advancement is worth. And we've chosen to show them something different. That true civilization isn't measured by the power of your technology, but by how you use it to help others." She turned off her holographic display and strode toward the chamber's exit. Behind her, the council erupted in fresh arguments, but she didn't look back. Her communicator buzzed with an incoming message from the evacuation fleet. "Commander," Captain Sarah Chen's voice came through. "First wave of ships has entered the Arathi system. We're beginning preliminary evacuation procedures, but we're detecting some unusual energy signatures from the planet's core, something the Arathi might not even know about." Helena quickened her pace. The Council's threats were just the beginning. She had a feeling they were about to discover why these supposedly advanced civilizations were so keen to let the Arathi die out. But whatever they found, whatever challenges lay ahead, humanity had made its choice. Back on the Pioneer, Elena found Var-Ith waiting in the communication chamber, his skin pulsing with anxious patterns of blue and silver. "The Council rejected us as expected?" he asked, though his species' emotional projection made it more statement than question. "They did," Elena confirmed, "but that doesn't change anything. Earth's fleet is already moving into position. We estimate we can evacuate your entire population within 8 months, well before your star goes critical." Var-Ith's bioluminescence shifted to patterns of gold and white, hope and gratitude. The advanced ones never even asked about our achievements, our discoveries. They saw our light sharing and dismissed us without a second thought. "Their loss," Elena said firmly. "We've already learned more about quantum field manipulation from your primitive abilities in 2 weeks than our scientists managed in decades. Imagine what we might accomplish together." A priority alert flashed across her screen. More data from the planet's core. As she read, her expression grew serious. The energy signatures the fleet detected, they weren't natural. Someone had put something down there, long ago, something they didn't want anyone to find. "Var-Ith," she said carefully, "I need you to tell me everything you know about your planet's deep scanning history. And then we need to have a very interesting conversation with Earth Command about what our ships just found beneath your cities." The Arathi scientist's skin rippled with patterns Elena's translator couldn't quite decode, something between curiosity and ancient memory. Outside the ship's windows, the dying red giant cast its light across both their faces, its countdown to destruction marking not just a deadline, but a mystery that might shake the foundations of the Council's authority. The price of compassion was proving higher than expected, but it might also yield rewards beyond imagination. Bridges between stars. Deep beneath the surface of the Arathi homeworld, Elena Reyes stood in a vast chamber that hummed with quantum energy. The walls pulsed with intricate patterns of bioluminescence, but these weren't Arathi communications. They were far older and far more alien. "How long has this been here?" she asked, watching as Dr. Maya Santos took readings with increasingly bewildered expressions. Var-Ith's skin flickered with patterns of deep purple, confusion tinged with ancestral memory. "We always assumed these chambers were natural formations, resonating with our own bioluminescent abilities. Our ancestors built our cities around them because they enhanced our emotional projections. But this," His patterns shifted to a stark white of revelation. This is technology, ancient technology. Maya looked up from her instruments. Not just technology, Commander. This entire chamber is a quantum computer of unprecedented sophistication. The patterns we're seeing, their calculations being performed at the subatomic level. The Arathi weren't just living near it. They were interfacing with it through their bioluminescent abilities without even knowing it. Alina's communicator chimed with an incoming transmission from Captain Chen's ship in orbit. Commander, we've got movement at the edge of the system. Long-range sensors are picking up multiple ships dropping out of hyperspace. Council signatures. They're not here to help with the evacuation, I assume, Alina replied grimly. She turned to Varith. How much of your population have we managed to evacuate so far? The Arethi's skin pulsed with quick calculations. Just over 1 million. The Earth ship's quantum-enhanced drive systems, combined with our people's ability to interface with them, has greatly accelerated the process. But we still have 3 million more to save. Alina nodded. The discovery that Arathi bioluminescence could interface with human quantum technology had been a breakthrough. Their ships now moved faster, communicated more efficiently, and operated with unprecedented precision. But it wouldn't mean anything if they couldn't complete the evacuation before either the star exploded or the Council intervened. Commander, Maya called out, her voice tense with excitement. You need to see this. The quantum patterns in these walls, they're not just calculations, they're storage. This chamber, this entire network of chambers, it's some kind of library. And it's not the only one. According to these readings, there are similar structures on at least a dozen worlds across the galaxy. Alina's mind raced. Worlds where other primitive species were left to die. Worlds the Council now controls, Maya confirmed. The Arathi's natural abilities let them interface with this technology unconsciously. Imagine what they could do if they actually understood it. A series of explosions rocked the chamber. Alina's communicator erupted with urgent reports. The Council ships had opened fire on the evacuation fleet. All ships, defensive positions, Alina ordered. Protect the evacuation transports at all costs. She turned to Varith. I need your people to do something you've never done before. I need you to consciously interface with this chamber, to try to access its stored knowledge. The Arathi scientist's skin rippled with uncertainty. We've never attempted to control our connection to these energies. Our abilities are intuitive, emotional. Exactly, Alina interrupted. This technology responds to emotion, to consciousness itself. That's why the Council wants it destroyed. They can't interface with it, can't control it. But you can. Above them, the battle intensified. The human ships, enhanced by Arathi operators, were holding their own against the technologically superior Council vessels, but they were badly outnumbered. Varith's skin began to pulse with deep, resonant patterns. Other Arathi in the chamber joined him, their combined bioluminescence synchronizing with the ancient walls. The quantum hum grew stronger, more focused. It's working, Maya breathed, watching her instruments. The chamber's energy output is increasing exponentially. The patterns are stabilizing into. Suddenly, every screen and holographic display in the chamber exploded with information. Star maps, technical diagrams, historical records, the accumulated knowledge of countless civilizations that had been dismissed as primitive, their worlds stripped of resources after their extinction. The Council didn't ignore these civilizations because they were primitive, Alina said, her voice hard with anger. They ignored them because they had developed technologies the Council couldn't control. Technologies based on consciousness, on quantum manipulation, on biological interfaces. So they let them die, took their resources, and buried their achievements. The chamber's walls pulsed with new patterns as more Arathi joined the interface network. Through their combined abilities, they weren't just reading the ancient data. They were learning to use it. Alina's communicator crackled. Commander, Captain Chen's voice was filled with awe. Something's happening to our ships. The Arathi operators, Their bioluminescence is interfacing with our systems in a completely new way. Our quantum drives are operating at 300% efficiency. Shields are adapting faster than the Council weapons can adjust. This is beyond anything we've seen. Not beyond. Alina corrected, watching the patterns of light dance across the chamber walls. Just different. A path of advancement based on cooperation between biology and technology, between consciousness and computation. The path all these primitive species were taking before they were destroyed. Var-Eth's skin blazed with patterns of fierce determination. We understand now. Our ability to share emotions through light. It wasn't just communication. It was the beginning of something the Council feared. True symbiosis between organic life and quantum technology. More explosions rocked the surface as the space battle continued. But now Alina smiled. The Council had made a crucial mistake. In their arrogance, they had dismissed the Arathi as primitive, had tried to keep them from the ancient knowledge that was their birthright. But in doing so, they had brought humanity and the Arathi together, two species that understood what it meant to be underestimated. Send word to the fleet, Alina ordered. Begin Phase 2 of the evacuation, and send everything we found here to Earth Command. The galaxy needs to know the truth about the Council's natural order. The chamber hummed with power as human determination met Arathi insight, and an ancient legacy of quantum wisdom began to awaken. The race to save a civilization had become something much more, a chance to reshape the very definition of advancement in the galaxy. The storm breaks. The bridge of the ESS Pioneer shuddered under another impact as Alina Reyes coordinated the evacuation fleet's defense. Through the main viewport, space itself seemed to ripple with quantum distortions as human ships, their systems enhanced by Arathi operators, engaged the vastly larger Council fleet. Status report, Alina commanded, watching as another wave of Council warships emerged from hyperspace. 2 million evacuated. Captain Chen's voice came through, steady despite the chaos. The Arathi's integration with our quantum drives has tripled our transport capacity. But the Council ships. She paused as another explosion lit up the viewport. They're not just trying to stop us anymore. They're targeting the planet itself. Alina's screens confirmed it. The Council fleet was moving into a bombardment formation, their weapons charging to levels that could crack a planet's crust. They're trying to destroy the quantum archives, Maya said, her hands flying over her console as she coordinated with the Arathi scientists below. But they don't understand what they're dealing with. The archives, they're not just data storage. They're nodes in a galaxy-wide network. The more the Arathi interface with them, the more they're awakening. As if in response, the ancient chambers beneath the planet's surface pulsed with new energy. The Arathi operators aboard the human ships began to glow with increasingly complex patterns, their bioluminescence synchronized with quantum fields that had laid dormant for millennia. Commander, Var-Eth's voice carried both excitement and fear, his skin flickering with intense patterns. We've accessed another level of the archives. The network, it wasn't just for storing knowledge. It was a defense system created by the alliance of species the Council destroyed. We can activate it. But his patterns shifted to deep crimson uncertainty. We don't fully understand its power. Another barrage from the Council ships rocked the fleet. Alina watched as 3 evacuation transports took heavy damage, their hulls barely holding together as they rushed their precious cargo of Arathi refugees to safety. We're running out of options, Alina said. How many Council ships are we facing? Over 300 now, her tactical officer reported. And more arriving. Our enhanced systems are keeping us alive, but we can't hold them off forever. Not with 2 million Arathi still waiting for evacuation. Alina made her decision. Var-Eth, activate the defense system. Maya, coordinate with all ships. I want every Arathi operator ready to interface with whatever happens. The response was immediate and astonishing. The quantum energy patterns in the ancient chambers surged, connecting with the Arathi operators throughout the fleet. Their bioluminescence intensified. synchronizing not just with human technology now, but with space itself. On Elena's screens, new readings appeared, quantum fields forming between the human ships, creating a network of energy that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. The Arathi weren't just enhancing their ships anymore, they were linking them together into something entirely new. Impossible. The transmission came from the Council flagship, its commander's crystalline form vibrating with rage. This technology was destroyed. We made sure every species that developed it was eliminated. You destroyed the civilizations, Elena replied, watching as the quantum network grew stronger. But you couldn't destroy the knowledge. It was waiting for someone who could understand it, not through technological superiority, but through the very biological adaptations you dismissed as primitive. The Council ships opened fire with everything they had, but their weapons were met with something unprecedented. The quantum network between the human ships didn't just block their attacks, it absorbed them, redirecting the energy through paths that seemed to bend reality itself. Multiple Council ships disabled, the tactical officer reported, his voice filled with awe. Their weapons, the quantum fields, are predicting their attack patterns and neutralizing them before they can fire. It's like the network is thinking. Not thinking, Varith corrected, his patterns pulsing with revelation. Feeling. The network responds to consciousness, to emotion. The species that created it understood that true advancement comes from merging technology with organic life, not trying to rise above it. Elena watched as more Council ships found their weapons neutralized, their engines stalled by quantum fields they couldn't comprehend. The evacuation transports, protected by the network, moved faster than ever, rushing back and forth between the planet and safety. But the Council had one last desperate move. Their flagship, massive and bristling with weapons, began to power up its main cannon, a weapon designed to destroy entire star systems. They'll kill everyone, Maya warned, including their own fleet. They can't let this technology survive. Elena turned to the Arathi operators on her bridge, their skin glowing with patterns that merged with the ship's quantum systems. Can the network stop a weapon that powerful? The patterns of their bioluminescence shifted to something new, determination mixed with a deep ancestral understanding. Through their connection to the quantum archives, they were remembering knowledge their ancestors had shared with other species long ago, before the Council rose to power. We don't need to stop it, Varith said, his patterns resonating with the ancient wisdom. We can transform it. The Council flagship fired, its weapon releasing enough energy to shatter a planet. But as the blast reached the quantum network, something extraordinary happened. The energy didn't impact. It flowed, redirected by consciousness itself, guided by the combined will of humans and Arathi working in perfect synchronization. The destructive power was channeled, transformed, and then released, not as a weapon, but as a wave of quantum energy that spread across the star system. When it touched the Council ships, their advanced technology simply stopped working, their supposedly superior systems unable to process energy guided by conscious thought. All enemy ships disabled, Tactical reported. The quantum network, it didn't destroy them. It just showed them how little they actually understand about real advancement. Elena allowed herself a small smile as she watched the once mighty Council fleet drift powerless in space. Send to all ships. Resume evacuation operations. Full speed. She turned to Varith. I think it's time we showed the galaxy exactly what a primitive species can do when given a chance to survive. The Arathi scientist's skin pulsed with patterns of victory and hope, his light merging with the quantum fields that now protected their combined fleet. Above them, the dying red giant continued its countdown to destruction, but its light now illuminated something the Council had never expected, the birth of a new kind of civilization, one built on the understanding that true power comes not from rising above organic life, but from embracing it in all its forms. Legacy of Light. 1 year after the Battle of the Dying Star, Elena Reyes stood in the Grand Assembly Hall of the new Galactic Alliance on Earth. The massive chamber, designed by combined human and Arathi architects, pulsed with quantum-enhanced bioluminescence that carried emotional context along with its light, a symbol of the transformation spreading across known space. Through the chamber's transparent dome, she could see ships arriving from dozens of worlds, each carrying representatives of species once dismissed as primitive. The Arathi evacuation had sparked something unprecedented, a revolution not of weapons, but of understanding. The Council tried to bury more than just technology. Elena addressed the assembled delegates. Her words carried on waves of light that conveyed their emotional weight. They tried to bury an idea: that advancement isn't a single path leading to technological supremacy, but a vast network of possibilities, each unique to the species that discovers it. Var-Eth stood beside her, his skin shimmering with patterns that interfaced seamlessly with the chamber's quantum systems. The Arathi had not just survived, they had flourished. Their new homeworld, shared with human colonies, had become a center for studying the integration of organic abilities with quantum technology. The archives we discovered, Var-Eth's patterns pulsed with pride and possibility. They weren't just records of lost civilizations. They were a message passed down through quantum resonance, waiting for those who could understand it. Every species the Council destroyed had developed their own way of interfacing with the quantum nature of reality. The chamber's displays showed the evidence they had uncovered over the past year. Dozens of worlds where primitive species had been allowed to die, each hiding nodes of the same quantum network. The Council hadn't just been maintaining technological superiority. They had been systematically eliminating any civilization that discovered a different path to advancement. But they failed. Elena continued. In trying to destroy the Arathi, they instead created the very thing they feared most: proof that their path wasn't the only valid form of progress. Humanity's decision to help wasn't just about saving lives. It was about preserving possibility itself. The displays shifted to show the changes sweeping the galaxy. The Council's power had crumbled in the face of revealed truth. Their member species, confronted with evidence of generations of genocide, had largely abandoned them. But more importantly, other primitive species had begun to emerge, no longer afraid to develop their unique abilities. "We've found 16 species so far," Maya reported, standing at her station surrounded by quantum-enhanced holographics, each with their own biological or psychological adaptations that let them interact with quantum fields in unique ways. The Council didn't just rob us of allies, they nearly destroyed whole branches of potential scientific advancement. Elena watched as representatives of these newly contacted species shared their discoveries. The Meridians, with their crystalline neural networks that could process quantum information. The Voth, whose communal consciousness could influence probability fields. Each brought new perspectives, new possibilities, new ways of understanding the universe. A century ago, Elena addressed the assembly. Humanity reached for the stars, wondering if we would find ourselves lacking, too primitive, too far behind. Instead, we found that advancement isn't about catching up to someone else's definition of progress. It's about recognizing that diversity, even in how species develop, is strength. Var-Eth's patterns shifted to display the latest data from their quantum archaeology teams. The network our ancestors helped build wasn't meant to be a weapon or a means of control. It was meant to be a bridge, a way for different species to share their unique perspectives and abilities. The Council saw this cooperation as a threat to their power, but they never understood that true power comes from combination, not domination. The chamber's quantum fields hummed with shared emotion as delegates from across the galaxy connected through the restored network. Human determination merged with Arathi insight, Meridian logic blended with Voth intuition, creating new solutions to old problems. "We're rewriting the definition of advancement," Elena concluded, "not as a ladder to climb over others, but as a web of connections between different ways of understanding reality. Every species brings something unique to this network, each biological or psychological adaptation offering new ways to perceive and interact with the universe." She gestured to the stars visible through the dome. where ships of all designs plied the quantum-enhanced space lanes. The Council thought they were preserving order by eliminating difference. Instead, they nearly cost us the greatest discovery in galactic history, that the true path to advancement lies not in surpassing organic life, but in embracing all its infinite variations. Above the chamber, Earth's sun cast its light across the assembled delegates. Unlike the angry red giant that had threatened the Arathi, this light illuminated not an ending but an ongoing beginning. Humanity's choice to save one primitive species had unlocked something far greater, a new understanding of civilization itself, where progress was measured not by technological might, but by the ability to recognize and preserve the value of every unique path of development. The quantum network pulsed with shared purpose as the assembly turned to their work. There were more species to find, more paths to uncover, more combinations of biology and quantum science to explore. The galaxy was entering a new age, one where the word primitive had lost its meaning, replaced by an understanding that every species' path to the stars was valid, valuable, and vital to the greater whole. Helena looked at Vardith, whose patterns now displayed emotions too complex for simple translation. Together, they had helped create something the Council had never imagined, a civilization that grew stronger through diversity, not uniformity. And this was just the beginning.